Here's your host, empowerment psychic, Halley Elise.
Hi, I'm glad you could join us again on the Halley Elise Show. As always, it's a pleasure to have you join me, and it's funny because each show is so different, so I have to contemplate beforehand, what is it that we're going to do? If it's just me on the air, it's completely different than when I have guests. And for the first couple of shows, starting back, because it's been a while, I thought, we'd do the energy thing and talk a little bit about how you are powerful in your own world. The term, or if you will, the title empowerment psychic is very apropos because of the type of work that I do. It is not just about giving you a reading. It is not just about saying, okay, yes, you're going to marry this person, or, X number of dollars are coming to you, but it really is about how you are able to master your own world, how you're able to take that, if you will, psychic information and be able to grasp it in such a way that you can transform what is necessary for you to be able to say, okay, this particular area isn't going the way that I wanted, but I now know, and I now have the tools and the skill set to make the proper changes so that I can achieve what I desire. And it really is more simple than you might imagine. I just came off of a program where I was working with a client at an ungodly hour. And I say ungodly because for those of you who know me, know that I'm a night owl. I can stay up till 3 in the morning working on marketing or answering calls for overseas for some of my clients, or on the computer, what have you. And for me to be up at 6:30 in the morning to work with someone is somewhat insane. And yet I just completed this program, which was a 21-day program, and I was getting up at 6:30 in the morning. And if you're wondering, well, how does that work with the whole psychic thing? Well, I had a session with this gal, and we were able to really identify where she had challenges in her world. And we were really able to identify what was the best time frame for her to address those challenges, and for her to really quickly and as auspiciously as possible make changes. So once we ascertained all that, we set up this time to meet. And again, 6:30 in the morning. It was very funny because I had company in from out of town, and my guest said to me, "You're up at what hour?" He just couldn't get the whole 6:30 because he knows me for a really long time, and it was like, "Oh, right, don't wake me up." Anyways, we had a ball. What's amazing, though, is as you start to work on not just being aware of what needs to be shifted, but work on the knowing that you are more capable than you ever thought, work on the knowing that given support, that you can really truly have what you want, things start to happen very quickly. It's called manifestation. We talk so much about the power of intention or attraction. There have been films and books, and there are presenters of the yin-yang that can help you with this. But a lot of times, you'll listen to something, you'll see something, you'll attend, for instance, a program, even one of my programs. Let's say you come in and I'm doing a presentation, and I share with you some of the tools on how to manifest. And you leave and you're all jazzed up. Okay, great. I'm going to do this. I'm going to get out there and I'm going to make it happen. You get home and you're like, yeah, I know that I need to do A, B, and C, and tomorrow I'm going to start. And then tomorrow comes and you go, well, I'm kind of tired and I'm going to sleep in, and, I'm going to do it later today. I know I am, because it was so good. I'm so motivating, and I want to be there. I want to make it happen. And then later comes and you go, it was a really long day, and I have to walk the dog, and I have to take care of this, and I have to take care of that. And then you realize, perhaps maybe a week later, or a month later, or 6 months later, that all of those lovely little techniques that you learned about to help you manifest what you want, well, didn't really put them into play. It was a nice thought. And this happens with the best of people, so please don't take this as a judgment. It is not. It is a matter of, we are so accustomed to our own patterns and behaviors, good, bad, or indifferent, that we remain in that space, even when we contemplate making a change, even when we are self-directed and motivated. It takes a while. Very rarely does somebody make a significant change in their world overnight. It's not impossible, but it is very rare. I think back to many people that I know that are profound masters at their craft. Lecturers, presenters, teachers, thankfully, quite a few of them have become friends over the years. And, we've talked about their struggles and their strife and the fact that they had to go through these difficulties to get to where they are now. And even though there was that awareness that if they made a particular change, it didn't happen overnight. I'm thinking in particular about one friend who was in the stock market in that arena, and things were really good, and then all of a sudden the bottom fell out, and he was at a point where he had enough to maybe buy some soup mix, and that was it. Didn't know where his next meal was coming from, didn't know what was going to take place really with anything, and he sat in prayer and just said, I don't know what to do anymore. I need to be directed. And somebody would construe that as hitting bottom. I think sometimes it really needs to be looked at as hitting exactly where you need to be. There's that old saying about we are where we need to be at any given point in time. And when we're in a difficult situation, when we don't feel like we've accomplished our goals, when we feel as if things are not going our way, or wonder when they will or why they haven't, we continue with the same cycle. Even though there is discomfort connected with it, there is that, if you will, comfort of knowing what it feels like. I know, somewhat of an oxymoron, but it's the really representation of being comfortable in your own discomfort. And if you think about that, it's like, what? No, I don't like this space. I don't want to be here. But the truth of the matter is, you're there for as long as you allow yourself to be there. And it's comparable to quitting smoking. Somebody says, I want to quit. Not because my doctor said I need to quit. I want to quit. And you go and you say, okay, I'm not going to smoke today. And then you go, well, maybe I'll just have one cigarette. Well, maybe I'll just have 3 cigarettes. And then you're patting yourself on the back because you did great. You only had 10 cigarettes instead of perhaps a pack or 2. And then the next day, you may go through the same thing. You may go and vacillate back and forth over, I know what I want to do. I'm angry with myself. I didn't do it. How am I going to do it? How am I going to make it happen? What are the steps? And then you say, well, I know all of this. I've studied. I've checked. I've talked. I've made up my mind. And it's mind over matter. It's not always mind over matter. It is an energy, and you'll find that I speak a lot about energy because everything in our life has an energy attached to it, whether it is the table, whether it is a piece of jewelry, whether it is that energy that is transmitted out into the world because you're in a space of joy. You have to shift an energy. Energy bends, it changes, it's malleable, it's transmutable, and it's a matter of your thoughts beget things. Your thoughts are an energy, and if you want to make a change, you have to sometimes start with your thoughts. Actions are important, of course, but sometimes the action is no more than saying, I am awaking at a particular time so that I can start thinking, or to think differently. Okay, full circle. And I've mentioned before on different shows that I'll do a 360. I'll be chatting and I'll go back around. So I was mentioning about this client who I was working with at 6:30 in the morning. And I had told her that if she really wanted to make a huge impact in her world, if she really wanted to accomplish what her desire was, that she had to make a commitment. And she said, well, I've been committed. I've been committed for years, and it just never happens. I get close and it just falls away. Well, a lot of times it's because of old mental programming. It's something perhaps that entered into your world when you were 10 and it stayed with you and you didn't even realize that that emotion or that negative charge or that lack of confidence is still with you. And you want to change it, and on the conscious level, you're going, I can do that. And you're not, yet you're not. The reason for that is it's very easy consciously to say I'm going to do something, but unless it has affected your subconscious, unless it has affected that energy within, then things remain the same. Or you'll find that they start to change and there is a greater discomfort and you fall back into that old pattern, that old discomfort. With this client, she said, I'm committed, I'll do whatever you say. Great. So we get on the phone the first day and I said, you have your pen and paper ready? And she says, well, no, I'm tired. I don't want to do that. that was one of those things where it started to create discomfort. Okay, yes, I'm ready to make a change. I'm ready to be on the phone. I'm awake. Isn't that enough? No. You want to be able to hit the difficulty in a myriad of ways. You want to be able to do something mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual, so that you take all the energy that is your person and put it into manifesting that desire. So I said, okay, just keep in mind that if you really want to make a difference, you do really need to hit it on all levels of your being. She's like, oh, all right, yeah, I'll do it later. Okay. So we go ahead and we work together that day. And I said, I'll talk with you tomorrow. Next morning, she's great. Johnny on the spot, 6:30. I'm dragging my butt. The animals in the house were looking at me, scratching their heads, going, really? Why are you up? And I get on the phone and I say, okay, you have your pen and paper ready? Well, no, I thought about it, but I'm tired. I don't want to get out of bed. I just have the phone next to me and we can do this. And so again, I said, no. Keep in mind that if you want to make a change, you really have to decide to make that change. You have to make a commitment. It's not to me, because the truth of the matter is I'm not living in your skin. It's to you. Do you want to make a change? Have a piece of paper and a pen. Have a light so that you can see what you're doing. She's like, okay, I will tomorrow. I said, okay. I said, I'm going to be here for you to help guide you and support you. But ultimately, it is you that has to make the change. Ultimately, is you that has to make the commitment. She's like, I'm really determined. I'm really ready. I am going to do it. I said, okay, great. So we went over our little procedure, and the reason I'm not sharing the specifics of that is because her life is private, and I am not going to share what she's working on. What I will tell you is that when I work with someone that closely, we do so for 21 days. The reason 21 days is it's been proven that it takes a minimum of 21 days to begin to change a pattern. Some people argue that you've changed the pattern because you've done it for 21 days, but there really is a follow-up that's necessary to make it long-lasting, meaning that you can do something for 21 days, and yes, you've changed the pattern, but you revert back to an old pattern very easily if you do not make a commitment to a further period of time to invest in yourself. Okay, all that being said, this can be accomplished in short periods of time. You can do a half hour, you can do 40 minutes, you can do 45 minutes, you can do 5 minutes. It is a matter of making a commitment to yourself. So, day number 3, we get on the phone, and I ask her, do you have your pen and paper? Yes, I do. Do you have a light on that you can see? Yes, I do. And as we're working, she says, oh, well, this actually makes it a little easier because I'm listening, but I'm also writing it down so that I have a reference point. I'm like, exactly. Not only do you have a reference point of something that you can examine, but you begin to see your own change because you can look back at where you started days later, weeks later, and see that the way that you were thinking, the way that you were processing information, the way that you were able to imbue your life with a difference began to take form. I am very happy to say that about the 17th day, maybe it was the 15th, I think it was about the 15th day, that there's a project that she was working on that's very specific to her business success. And in the past, it's been like, well, I'll keep my fingers crossed, hopefully things will fall into place. This was absolute determination. This is going to happen. I'm going to see it. I have no doubt it is. Spoke with her that following day. Sure enough, everything came to fruition in the way that she wanted it to. Talk about a successful day. It was amazing. Not because she accomplished it, because she could always accomplish it, but it was amazing because she recognized her own good. She gave herself that pat on the back for her success. She allowed herself to recognize that her patterns that she'd been following were not consistent. And that's the point. And that brings me back to the whole empower or empowerment. If you want to be empowered in your world, if you want to make significant changes and see them be long-lasting, you have to have continuity. You have to have consistency. And again, it doesn't have to be a lengthy period of time. In the book Think and Grow Rich, which is very popular and has been around for a very long period of time, and there's been different renditions of it, I say rendition as if it were music, because when you read it, it does have its own melody. The author really had a good command of how the mind can shift because of his experiences, because of what he saw come to light. And there is a page, I don't know if it's 81, 61, something. I know that the second number is a 1. I don't recall exactly, but it tells you a script, and that you can use this script daily. Just simply by filling in the blanks and reading it to yourself, you start to actually invest in yourself. You start to have a change, and a change in the way that is going to make you content and happy and bring to you what you want. So think in terms of not time, but think in terms of quality. If you're making a commitment, you say, okay, I'm going to do affirmations, as an example. And you go, I'm doing affirmations. I am healthy. Well, that doesn't sound like it's got a lot of energy to it. It doesn't sound like you're really invested in it. It sounds like you said a couple of words. Or, I'm going to be successful. Well, I'm going to be is somewhere in the future. Do you want to really be successful or not? So you can say, my success is coming to me now. Or you could say, I am being more successful on a daily basis. Or my success grows with each moment. Follow? And say it with passion, say it with commitment. If you're going to do an affirmation, even if you don't believe it, look in the mirror and say it to yourself. Get to a place where when you say it, you truly feel energized, you feel motivated. Give some thought to this. We're going to take a brief break, and we'll be back in just a moment.
Please welcome a new sponsor to the show. It's AMP2 TV, the first and only internet network that's truly plugged in. When you're looking for a full-service internet television production company, discover AMP2 TV, a full-service production company that can provide all streaming videos in studio or remotely. They offer web page development, and they use all the latest platforms to help make your business selling points more powerful. They can do remotes and live streaming, as well as tape productions. Let AMP2 TV handle all of your television production needs. Choose from a variety of creative TV and radio packages and see why AMP2 TV works with many major companies, including Comcast, Bravo, and Fox 29, as well as individuals and businesses of all types and sizes. To see samples of their work or to find out more, visit their website at amp2.tv. That's AMP2.tv. Or call them at 1-866-224-5422. That's 866-224-5422.
You're listening to Empowerment Psychic Halley Elise, and she invites you to visit her website for more information about all that she does at HalleyElise.com. Now, back to your host, Empowerment Psychic Halley Elise.
Hi, we're back with the Halley Elise Show, and I was just saying that, and it's funny, I'm just thinking our little intro there says we're back with the Halley Elise Show, and I said it too, but hey, this way you won't forget, right? You really know what it is. All right, so anyways, we were talking before the break about empowerment, and we were talking about manifestation and the fact that you can transmute energy and you can have what you want out of life. And I was sharing that I did this 21-day program with someone recently, and it was interesting to watch her evolve and how things turned for her. Talking about this perhaps would lead somebody to say, oh, you're a coach. You're one of them. You're a life coach. I'll tell you, I am not a life coach. A life coach to me is somebody who checks on you all the time, and, you know, they are there to motivate you and adjust. And I'm, how can I say this? I am that way to a degree, but my whole thing is about you being in command of your world. So if you don't do something, I am not going to berate you about it. I will share with you the benefits of doing it. I will share with you how you can really truly see a difference in your world, but it's going to be up to you. I'm not going to hold your hand and baby you and say, oh, come on, sweetheart. That, as well as I come from a more, we'll say, esoteric perspective, because before I work with you, we sit and we actually isolate what's going on energetically. We are able to communicate with your higher self and get a better grasp on what it is you need. Because you can look at things in the physical and go, okay, look, I need to have X number of dollars per month. I don't have that. Let's do this. Sure, and you can create a manifestation program just for that, but you're only hitting one level. You know, the gurus, the yogis, they say mind, body, spirit. It's because we are being that is not just one aspect, but many aspects. And if you don't address your entire being when you're trying to make a change, then you're only making a partial change. You don't necessarily have the longevity that you want. So truly, if you're looking to significantly impact your world, to be able to say, wow, I really manifested my desire. I made it happen. And you want to be able to hold it and support it and continue with it and its growth and its evolution, then you want to make sure that you literally look at all the different levels. A friend of mine who does psychotherapy work talks about peeling the onion. I don't like necessarily peeling the onion. I like to remove negative charges from the system, the cellular system, the energetic system. And it's funny because I say negative, and I don't even think I like the word negative, because really there is a duality to all of us, a front, a back, an up, a down, a sideways. So I don't know that anything is truly negative. It is more a matter of different, perhaps, than what we would desire in that moment. And there's a balance in all things. So really, again, the word coach doesn't work for me so much. I like mentor or guide. You know, obviously verbiage is verbiage, and you could look at a rose and call it a fig leaf. It's still a rose. So whatever your comfort level is works. Bottom line, empowerment is not just about reading a book or attending a program. Empowerment is about you choosing consciously as well as unconsciously to make a difference. It is about you saying that you're important enough to put you first. I had a lady, a week ago, I think, a client who's out of town who I was on the phone with. I haven't spoken to her in a couple of years. Really lovely, lovely person. And you look at her and you say, wow, she has it all together. She's absolutely exquisite looking. She's got a beautiful voice. She's smart. She's talented. She's a nurturing individual. And she spends way too much time crying, because she has this propensity to put others first. I think generally speaking, truly, women do that. You know, they want to make sure everybody else is happy. Not that men can't do that, so please don't take that wrong. But as a general rule of thumb, women tend to be nurturers, and they tend to want to make sure everything is good, make sure everything is calm and taken care of. And it's kind of like a mom will say goodnight to everyone, and then afterwards still run around and do things, and maybe up perhaps for another hour. It's because she wants things done. So again, general rule of thumb, if that woman or a gentleman is not looking after themselves because they don't have enough time for themselves, and I'm not talking about grooming, I'm not talking about eating, I'm talking about the mental and the emotional and the spiritual wherewithal to connect with themselves, then it will show up in areas of their life. It will show up in a paycheck that's less than what you're worth, or it will show up in waking and feeling exhausted, or it will show up in ways that you can't even imagine, where you sit and ask yourself, oh, why does this keep happening? Oh, I see the same pattern over and over again, or I'm with the same person, different relationship, but same circumstance. It's because unless you've transformed for yourself, unless you've made yourself most important, then you can't have what you want. And this is not to infer that you should not look after, your loved ones. It is to let you know that you can look after them better if you are able to take good care of yourself. I'll share something with you briefly. My Nana, my maternal grandmother, and I were very close, and she had Alzheimer's. And she lived with me for a while because I wanted to take care of her. Okay, long and the short of it is, I wanted to know how to do that. And so I went to programs, and I learned about dealing with Alzheimer's, and I learned about what could be expected and changes. And I heard people saying that the caregiver oftentimes passes before the person who's ill. And that blew my mind because it didn't make sense. Well, I became the caregiver. I then understood when I started putting the milk into the pantry instead of in the refrigerator, I realized it was time to change. And so I made a change. You can only do what you can do. You can look after others, you can nurture, and you can love. But it is really important that you do that for yourself. And to best take care of them, you have to take care of you. I thank you for listening in. I hope you are enjoying the show. Please remember that the first Monday of the month, you can join me for the Psychic Gallery and actually do that at my office in a beautiful environment. We have an atrium with water and plants, just magnificent. You can join me for other classes such as meditation, and you can find out all that information online at HalleyElise.com. Thank you.
Be enchanted and delighted. Connect each week here on WNN for the Halley Elise Show. Also on Facebook and at HalleyElise.com. Thanks for tuning in. The opinions expressed on the preceding sponsored program were strictly those of its hosts, guests, and callers, and not necessarily those of this station, its staff, management, or sponsors.
Welcome a new sponsor to the show. It's AMP2 TV, the first and only internet network that's truly plugged in. When you're looking for a full-service internet television production company, discover AMP2 TV, a full-service production company that can provide all streaming videos in studio or remotely. They offer web page development, and they use all the latest platforms to help make your business selling points more powerful. They can do remotes and live streaming, as well as tape productions. Let AMP2 TV handle all of your television production needs. Choose from a variety of creative TV and radio packages and see why AMP2 TV works with many major companies, including Comcast, Bravo, and Fox 29, as well as individuals and businesses of all types and sizes. To see samples of their work or to find out more, visit their website at amp2.tv. That's AMP2.tv. Or call them at 1-866-224-5422. That's 866-224-5422.